Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with a good friend of the channel and someone who's helped me out a couple of times, Mr. Stephen Dow. How you doing, sir?
Fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I want to just have an honest discussion about what I see coming in what I'll call the commercial real estate market. But before we do that, do the marketing thing so we can just get into this meaty topic.
Okay. So again, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel are that of my own. And let's get this going.
Yeah. So as you know, you helped me refi an office building and purchase a multifamily property last year.
Yes, sir.
I came to you and you alone because you were offering 30-year fixed rate money on assets that would normally require shorter durations, meaning 5-year, 7-year, maybe 10-year terms.
Right.
And oh, by the way, probably 25-year AM versus 30-year AM. If you haven't done the difference, do the math because there's a significant difference.
Big difference.
And the reason I want to bring this up is I did that on purpose. Because one of my greatest fears is I sold apartment buildings in late 19 because I saw cap rates being compressed. I saw C-class buildings, value add C-class buildings being sold at class A prices or cap rates, which happens when a market gets frothy or bubbly, or as I would say, there's too much money in the system.
Right.
And too much lending and too many new people. I know that's where the pain is coming shortly. The real estate market has cycles, and the dumb money overpaid for C-class value add properties. And I have seen some horrific deals, right? I'm an accredited investor, which means I get lots of syndications almost every day. Stephen, there are people doing bridge debt, which is typically 1 or 2 years.
Right.
Or it's a 1-in-1, all of those things. IO, interest only.
Right.
On C-class value add properties today.
Right.
And I have to tell you right now, majority of those are going to blow up. It's not necessarily like that. It's not that C-class is bad. It's not that value add C-class is bad. It's that the underlying debt structure blows up.
Correct.
So the reason I want to talk to you about this as a lender who's been in the game a while, and frankly, why I came to you with 30-year money, let's just play this out. You did a deal on my office building. If in the next 5 years, my office building collapses in value 50%, can you call the loan?
No.
In a traditional 5-year, ARM, commercial loan with all the debt coverage ratios and all the stupid other risk conditions, could that lender call the loan?
I don't know, to be 100% honest with you.
The answer is yes.
In that aspect. Okay, well then, yes.
Yeah, so they could either, there's all kinds of covenants. They call them covenants, rules, regulations in multifamily loans.
Okay.
If your if the building doesn't have a debt coverage ratio, DCR, right? They want 1.25 DCR.
Right.
Guess what? Vacancies up, rents down. Just interest rate. I see lots of syndications blowing up. I see a lot of LPs, limited partners, losing all of their money. They've already lost it. They just don't know it yet. There are going to be capital raises. It's going to be messy.
I can see some of the signs. I'm more hopeful than anything, only because, I'm a lender, and so it does affect us in some regards, but there's still going to be plenty of opportunities for investors to really capitalize in that kind of environment as well. So sure, we may lose the refi business in a sense, but we're going to probably pick up in the purchase business, because now they're going to have to, liquidate some of these properties. So you're going to have investors coming in just like, picking up all these great deals. So
remind me, what's the max LTV on something like 75, 70?
I can go to 75% on multifamily and mixed use. Straight commercial is typically 70%.
Yeah, so let's say 70.
But again, we do allow again up to a 90% CLTV. I know we had talked about that briefly too, which does allow people to just only have to come in with 10% down. So again, there's going to be some opportunities for investors coming across properties from motivated sellers. In some cases, they have enough equity to at least carry a small amount. So then, so it's an interesting time for investors.
Yeah, let's remind people what 90% CLTV means.
Sure. Combined loan to value. That means that if I'm in first position doing a maximum of 75% loan to value of the purchase price, then we would allow either the seller to carry a second trust deed as far as seller financing up to a 15% second, which would then combine together to equal 90%, which then only requires the borrower to put in the remaining 10% down. So it's a good tool for the buyer. It makes it a lot interesting as far as coming up with innovative or creative financing, I guess, in the sense of ideally setting it up to where if the numbers make sense, fall within our guidelines, at least with the minimum loan requirement of 75,000 at 50% LTV, which is going to give you the best rate. And then if the seller is willing to carry and is able to 40%, and with seller financing typically being even better than conventional financing, you buyer are in the sweetest spot because you're going to get the lowest cost of capital in this environment, as well as probably the least amount down for investment properties. So it's a useful tool. It just depends on whether or not the seller is willing and able. So
yeah, I see. These deals, they're going to start to blow up slowly, right? They all have clocks, and it's what is going to happen in the commercial multifamily market is exactly what happened in the single family market when we had these BS 228 teaser loans. The first loans that reset, those sellers were actually okay,
right? Because
they got out in time. But what happened as the next month and the next month and the next month reset or recast, that more and more sellers came to the market and they're like, I need out. And unfortunately, when everybody else fire in a movie theater, the first people out are okay, but everybody else is stuck.
Right.
That's what's going to happen, man. There's just, bad deals eventually. It's bad financing. It's not the building's fault. It's not the tenant's fault. It's the financing. And that's why I took these office and multifamily to you, because I was only ever going to do 30-year money.
Right.
I've been in an environment where my market fell 75% last time. I don't want to have some lender call me and say, hey, your DCR is all whacked or your asset value is wrong. And you need, like Grant Cardone talked about in the last crisis, he owed some bank $10 million and they called the loan.
Right.
I don't want that stuff to happen. Right? I want to have
uncomfortable phone call for sure.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not writing that check. You kidding me, brother? What the hell? Yeah. So I see a lot of pain. It's probably not this year. It's probably next year and certainly the year after. Debt. Again, I tell people all the time, yes, there is a real estate market, but dude, there's a lending market.
Right.
Lending goes in cycles. Lenders do get stupid. And I think they got stupid when the risk of capital went to zero and you start giving first-time syndicators, stupid loans. You're supposed to get hurt.
Well, I think in this last cycle of financing, I don't think the programs were as aggressive as in the past when the mortgage meltdown of like 06, 07,
Dude,
08.
That's not true. No. They are just as aggressive, just stupid. There's less of them.
Well, agreed. Yes, there are a few that are gonna get hurt for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's less of them, right? There's just less commercial deals. But
I don't get to see them as often, but you are correct. And that's probably the reason why I brought that up. But I don't see the same number of frequency as I did in the past.
The frequency.
Everyone, the mother under the sun was doing 228s and 80/20s, stated income verified asset stuff like. You know what I mean?
It's a blank form sign here.
Right, landscaper's making $50,000 a month. You know what I mean? Buying a $800,000 house. No money down, kind of stuff. So
crazy.
But there's less of those.
Yeah. So again, folks, do me a favor. Watch your personal debt structure, right? Because your debt structure can blow up. Real estate markets come and go, but if your debt structure is okay, you could hold through the bad times. As Greg Dickerson says almost every Monday. Good times never last, bad times never last. But if your debt structure blows up during a bad time, it can be catastrophic.
Right. Well, just do the work, man.
Do the work. Just do the work. Man. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and talk options, either this 90% or the, all these other options that you offer, how do you want them to do it?
Just a quick email. That'll be the best way initially. Please email me to sdao@velocity mortgage.com. In the subject line, just put the acronym ORAAT. That's 2 A's, which stands for one rental at a time. The body of the email, just a brief description of what kind of financing you're looking for. The property type, an address would be great. If not, at least the city and state where the subject property is located, or which you're, the area you're interested in. And then of course your mid FICO score would help. And the best number to reach you back at, I'll be in touch within 48 hours typically. So other than that, looking forward to working with people.
There you go, man. Flood him over the weekend and he'll get back to you on Monday. Thanks, buddy.
Yes,
I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good weekend.
Yep.